Difficulty and Dark Souls go hand in hand. Everyone knows that a Soulslike is meant to be hard. Dragon Hunter Elisa is already different in this sense, as the goal was not to make the game hard, but the player. Hey guys, how's it going? It's me Fermian here, and today we are taking a look at Dragon Hunter Elisa, a true next-gen Soulslike made by Boom Games, available on Steam. We boot up the game and it's loud. Sometimes I do hate wearing headphones, especially in situations like this. Doesn't matter, we go into the settings and turn everything down. Here's a bit of a problem though. Adjusting the settings for the background music doesn't actually change anything, but the other options do seem to work. Also, maybe I shouldn't be complaining too much. The music itself is nice. Have a listen. As for the video settings, it's about what you would expect. We do have 0x0 resolution though. We also have a frame rate limiter that goes up to 144. We are already more advanced than From Software. This is a good thing. What is not a good sign though, is that there is no guide on what your keybinds are. Now, I am aware that the developer does mention it on the Steam page, but it's inherently bad design not having the controls shown up in the menu within the game. I am playing through this without knowing what each button does. We will find out along the way, together. It's time to start a new game, and it begins with a cutscene. Thanks game, I have 2 reasons to play this now. As with all Soulslikes, let's check to see if the most important things do in fact work. You can attack, and you can spam your shield. Good. I am now confident in this product. My only complaint so far is that the frame rate seems to be a bit low. I can run Elden Ring better than this, I just hope it doesn't get any worse. Spoiler. It does. Anyhow, I continue onwards and fight the first enemies the game throws at me. Spaghetti Man. I have to say that's a very unique design for an enemy. Also, I press E randomly and I do a special attack. There seems to be no mana bar, but it does consume all my stamina. This will be relevant later. It's also worth noting that souls are automatically looted into your inventory. This is one feature that's already done better than what we have in Lords of the Fallen. I have to admit, one major issue this game has is collision. You will get stuck many times in all kinds of surfaces. The first thing I get stuck on is a tree. I love how dramatic the music is as soon as that happens. This is not edited, by the way. We go onward, and ahead of us are beautiful fields and the castle in the distance. I'm gonna be honest, if I had this game in 2005, I would be happy because it would actually look pretty good compared to what we had back then. Also, the walking animation is really well animated. I feel like most of the effort went into this, not anything else. Anyway, I was pressing the buttons randomly and I ended up opening a character creation menu. Well, let's just call it character editor menu. The only options I could change were the body fat percentage and the skin color. Even then, the colors don't seem to be matching at all. Either way, I like Dark Souls, which means I like Berserk, so I will just go with the darker skin tone because I like Casca. In the meantime, I also open up the inventory by chance. There are 2 swords, 2 shields, and 2 pieces of armor per type that I can select. There are no helmets, and also no other gear options available, unfortunately. We do have the option to change our hairstyle, which is lovely. Yep, I'll be sticking to that one. Also, the inventory is now forever stuck on the screen. I tried pressing everything but nothing worked. If you think this is annoying, that's because it is. I also noticed that running while out of combat does not consume your stamina. We also have that in Elden Ring and it feels great. Plus points for Dragon Hunter Elisa. Good job, devs. When it comes to progressing through the game, we currently have 2 choices. We can either move into the castle, or look around it. I chose the latter. During my little detour, I do notice some more enemies in fact. This time, it's skeletons. One interesting thing I've come to realize is that there is a posture mechanic in this game. If you're not familiar with what that is, think of it as a breaking point. After a certain number of blocks or attacks, your opponent remains stunned, giving you a chance to riposte for a critical attack. Sadly, we do not have critical attacks here, so we are just left with a funny looking pose. Looking down the hill, I see something special in the distance. Something that looks like a knight. I'm thinking, maybe it's this game's version of the Black Knights from Dark Souls 1. Looking at them up close, it turns out it's actually a weird swamp creature. It's not a Black Knight, but at least it's a different looking enemy. We are only about 10 minutes into the game and we already have more enemy variety than Lords of the Fallen. I say that's not bad, you know? For an indie dev, that's actually quite impressive. Meanwhile, I can't help but notice a few weird looking stones, so I make my way there, and as it turns out, it's this game's version of the bonfire. Now, it's important to note that this game does not feature autosave, and you have to manually save at bonfires. It's a bit of a departure from what Soulslike generally do, but that's okay. Besides saving, you also have the option to level up. There are only two stats you can choose from, that being Vigor and Endurance. I decided to dump a few points into Endurance, because having more stamina never hurts. I didn't realize I was making the worst mistake possible. The realization will soon set in. I also level up Vigor since if Elden Ring taught me anything, it's that I can never have enough HP. I then focus my attention to the castle up the hill, and as it turns out, there are multiple ways you can enter. I was expecting the only entrance to be in the front, but as it turns out, I was wrong. All of this kind of reminds me of something. Anyhow, we go into the castle. We fight more enemies, and this is when I discover I've made a mistake. This attack consumes all my stamina. If I want to use it, I have to be at full stamina. Because I increased my stamina, it means that I will not be able to spam it as often, meaning I'm losing damage. Now I know what you might be thinking. Surely you can reset your levels like you can do in a Souls game. Unfortunately you cannot, and now my character is forever bricked. Hopefully I won't get stuck because of this. We go upstairs and we discover another door that is telling us to open it. The only issue is that this actually doesn't work this time. I'm not kidding, I'm assuming we might need a key or something of the sorts. I gotta say this is a very well detailed and beautiful game. Is there any way I can mute that, by the way? We keep walking around the castle and I discover another bonfire. It's time to level up health. As we have already established, leveling up your stamina is a waste. Behind this castle, we have what appears to be a swamp. I can confidently say that this feels like a true Souls game. We keep going forward and we encounter a new enemy. Hollows with armor. Great variety. I'm impressed. We also have a river nearby. Time to see if we can die in case we jump in. That left me disappointed. Doesn't matter, we continue onward and we end up in what appears to be this game's version of Anor Londo. We also have to find a way to unlock the door. I have to say I really like the inclusion of Nordic runes. I recognize these because I used to play Summoner's War. Biggest mistake I've ever made in my entire life. We walk into the church nearby. We hit ourselves in the head with the lever. We end up opening the door that locked our progression. And we just keep going on. And there it is. The first and potentially final boss. Medir. Kind of anyway. Now look, I really wanted to make this as epic as possible. I failed, by the way. But enjoy the boss fight regardless. You know, all of this kind of made me realize something. This game came out in 2021, 3 months before Elden Ring. Think about it. We start off in an area full of life and trees. We then go into a castle that has multiple ways you can enter and leave. After that castle, we have a large swamp, which then leads into what appears to be the remains of a great city, which then culminates with a dragon boss fight. Did Elden Ring steal ideas from Dragon Hunter Elisa? I guess we'll never know.